Coming up on today's show, Tesla has its worst quarter ever and admits Model 3 production ramp-up is several months behind schedule. Toyota looks to Airless Tyres to help it develop fuel-efficient cars, and why we're only 4 years away from fully autonomous cars on our roads, at least according to Nvidia. These stories and more coming next on 10. This is 10 from Transport Evolved, the roundup show that takes the week's news in the world of cleaner, greener, safer and smarter transportation and gives it to you in a bite-sized form just in time for the weekend. So kick back and enjoy. It's Friday, November 3rd, 2017. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield, and thanks to everyone who sent birthday wishes my way this week. I'm pretty rubbish at celebrating my birthday, so thanks for helping me figure it out. Oh, and thanks to those who indulged in a little Halloween fun with my fluffy alter ego when she took to the airwaves. She and I had a lot of fun. Thanks. We're starting today's show with the biggest news story of the week, Tesla's official Q3 2017 earnings, which were released on Wednesday afternoon after the close of markets. As suspected, Tesla had an extremely tough third quarter, failing to meet its production and delivery targets for Model 3. Despite celebrating the delivery of its quarter-millionth electric vehicle since the Model S launched in 2012, as well as enjoying continued record demand for Model S and Model X, up about 18% on Q2 this year, Q3's losses represented the largest Tesla had ever experienced, by a very long way. How large? Well, in Q2 this year, Tesla had losses of $336 million. In Q3, that had grown to $671 million, almost but not quite double the previous quarter's losses. In anyone's books, that's a lot of money and not far off the $888 million the company lost in total during last year. Some of that is down to Model 3, which has proven extremely costly for Tesla to produce. A sleep-deprived, cold-ridden Elon Musk took to the earnings call late on Wednesday to confirm that a large factor in the slow Model 3 ramp-up was problems at Tesla's Gigafactory in Reno, Nevada, where Tesla engineers were left no option but to recode third-party robotic production lines where battery cells are packaged together to produce Model 3 battery packs. Musk, who's been sleeping at the Gigafactory in order to lend a hand in solving the bottleneck issues, admitted that it's been extremely depressing for him over the past few weeks, referring to the situation as 9th level hell. Now, he joked, Tesla is at 8th level hell and daylight can be seen. But with $22 billion in liabilities, Tesla needs to do everything it possibly can to turn itself around and bring the Model 3 to market as soon as it can. And with Musk clearly fuming about the reporting of the 700 recent firings at the company, something Musk maintains was influenced only by performance reviews, nothing more, I can only imagine the stress levels for anyone working at Tesla right now. Pass the antacid, please. To slightly nicer thoughts now, courtesy of a new study released this week from VUB University Brussels Transport and Environment that shows that even in Germany and Poland, where power grid mixers are the dirtiest of any EU country, driving an electric car is still better for the environment than driving a diesel-powered car. Using a well-to-wheel analysis that factored in the manufacturing and lifespan of vehicles, the study showed that even in Poland, where electricity is the dirtiest of any European nation, electric vehicles powered by the local power mix were responsible for 25% less emissions in their lifetime than a modern diesel vehicle, with that figure growing to 85% less for vehicles powered by Sweden's power grid, the cleanest in the EU. So the next time someone says that EVs are dirtier than ICE vehicles, be sure to show them this survey. Tesla might be busy promoting its autopilot semi-autonomous driver assistance technology and doing rather well selling customers a full upgrade to Level 5 autonomy whenever that becomes available in the future, but it turns out that Level 3 semi-autonomous driver assistance features, as found in all of Tesla's vehicles, won't ever be a feature in any vehicles that Waymo makes. That's because Waymo has discovered, after extensive testing, that when you give someone partial control of a vehicle, as is the case with Level 3 autonomy, people quickly lose contextual awareness. And then, when asked to take control of the vehicle again in an emergency, the driver is situationally unaware of what's really going on. And that, says Waymo, is super dangerous. And I have to agree. So onwards to full Level 5 autonomy. Last week, BMW celebrated building its 100,000th BMW i3 at the Leipzig factory where every single BMW i3 is made. Alongside the celebrations, the company officially flipped the switch on a new grid-connected battery storage farm in Leipzig that can house up to 700 BMW i3 battery packs. It's currently got 500 or so installed, and it helps to provide grid storage and smoothing function to the local area. At the moment, the batteries in the farm are split between new and used packs, but as i3 packs reach the end of their life in a car, they'll be recycled into facilities like this around the world. As anyone with an electric car will tell you, the worst part about plug-in car ownership is the long wait that you sometimes have to endure when recharging its battery pack on a long-distance trip. And while today's modern quick charge technologies are far faster than they once were, the time it takes to refuel an electric car, even with quick charging, is its largest Achilles heel. Which is why this week the US Department of Energy has just announced a $15 million funding program to aid the development of what it calls very fast electric car charging. What's very fast, I hear you ask? Well, in this case, the DOE states that it's a charging station protocol or battery technology that's twice as fast as today's current standards. It's not clear if that means 700 plus kilowatts, since there's a 350 kilowatt CCS charge standard already in development, but if it allows for speedier recharging, I'm all for it. As it's the start of November, we're of course now seeing the usual sales reports coming in for plug-in cars for the month of October. And this month, the Chevrolet Bolt EV set a new personal best for sales, recording a total of 2,781 units, some 150 more Bolt EVs than it sold in September. In fact, the Bolt EV is now the second most popular car in the US this year, second only to the Tesla Model S. Technically available nationwide, although some states still have reasonably limited availability, the Bolt EV is also hammering the Chevy Volt sales figures as more and more people skip the internal combustion, range extended Volt and go for a longer range, all-electric model instead. Nice job, GM. Sticking with US sales, the outgoing 2017 Nissan Leaf sold just 213 examples during October, something that's hardly a surprise considering that the new 2018 Nissan Leaf is due to launch in the US in January. The new Leaf, already on sale in Japan and some European nations, is selling very well after just 2 months, so it's expected the same will happen when the car launches in the US. In the meantime, however, if you want an affordable short-range EV and don't mind owning an older-style Leaf, there may be some massive discounts to be had at your local dealer if you act quickly. Finally, while my coverage of October US plug-in sales are far from comprehensive, I'm also going to touch on sales of the Chrysler Pacifica hybrid minivan. The only plug-in hybrid minivan available in the US, it's estimated that just over 1,100 Pacifica hybrids were sold during the month, placing it behind, but not far behind, the 1,626 Prius Primes sold and 1,362 Chevy Volts sold. I say estimated because Chrysler doesn't break figures down, but Inside EVs, who made the prediction, says it's doing so based on the number of state rebate applications made during the month. Still, it shows that there's demand for plug-in hybrid minivans. And yes, there is a review of the minivan on the way. I'll be posting it just as soon as I've finished editing it. With the Chevy Bolt heading into its second year of production, GM has announced 2 tiny changes to the popular plug-in, although price, range and some other specs remain the same. And I do mean tiny changes. First up, GM is removing the seatback pocket from the front passenger seat on the entry-level LT trim option, something I'm sure most people won't miss. But the second one might be a little more polarizing. The company's opted to remove the heated steering wheel switch, where previously fitted, and replaced it with an automatic heated steering wheel function that ties into the HVAC. As someone who suffers from cold hands, all I can say is, I'm glad I've got the 17. Wallets full of cards. That's what you've had to put up with if you've owned a non-Tesla electric car for the past few years, thanks to a complete lack of coherent interoperability between most public electric car charging networks. We are starting to see more and more networks shift away from the RFID card, thankfully though, and onto smartphone apps. And this week, we saw another charge provider, EVgo, make the switch, launching its own smartphone app for Android and iOS devices. So far, it seems to work, but of course, you'll need to hope that you're in an area with good cell phone coverage to make use of the app. If you're in the US or have been paying attention to US politics, you'll know that the current administration has been working very hard to walk back plenty of policies of previous governments. including ones concerning basic human rights, environmental protections, and immigration, to name but a few. And on Thursday, several GOP members confirmed that the House tax bill being rushed through will immediately end all federal grants for plug-in vehicles, essentially another attack on cleaner, greener transportation. Now, whatever your political persuasion, I'm sure you'll agree that the previous tax credits weren't exactly fair. They weren't means tested, for example, which is probably the best way of doing it. But at the same time, I think you'll also agree that ending them, while apparently continuing tax breaks for oil and gas companies, is a little disingenuous. Hunker down, because the war on EVs is just getting started, and if you're of a nervous disposition, steer clear of the comments section below. Over the past decade or so, I've seen a huge number of different approaches from automakers trying to make cars as energy efficient as possible, but now Toyota is adding a new one to the list. Airless tyres, which Toyota says will be light enough to offset the weight of an in-wheel motor. Debuting prototype airless tyres last week in Tokyo on its Fine Ride concept fuel cell car, Toyota says it's dead serious about making airless tyres a thing of the future and says it should have a product ready for prime time by 2020, which is about the same time frame as is expected to launch its solid-state battery pack for electric cars. Interesting. Now that it's proven how advanced its autonomous vehicle technology is on the closed circuits of M-City in Michigan, Detroit, Ford confirmed this week that it's ready to kick its Level 5 autonomous vehicle test program up a gear by introducing fleets of self-driving vehicles to various cities next year. Ford made the announcement during its own quarterly earnings call this week, at which it also confirmed that it's busy working with undisclosed companies on developing a ride-hailing service for autonomous vehicles that will be coming to market in the not-too-distant future, think 2020 or thereabouts. Despite massive expansion into the electric vehicle market around the world, especially in its home market of China, BYD announced this week that it expects its annual profit to fall by 1/5 this year due to increased competition in the electric vehicle market. BYD, one of the first Chinese firms to work on highway-capable electric vehicles, has always enjoyed a position of power in the Chinese market, but with government subsidies for plug-in purchases being replaced by mandated electric vehicle production quotas for all automakers, BYD says it's going to lose out, at least in the short term. Still, with BYD pushing its electric bus programs outside of China, I think the company is going to continue to be a big player in the electric vehicle marketplace for many years to come. And finally, in 4 years, we'll have fully autonomous cars roaming our roads. At least that's the opinion of NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, who said late last week that artificial intelligence advances would make fully autonomous Level 5 cars entirely possible within just 4 years. But while the technology may have reached the age of maturity by then, it's unlikely that we'll see any kind of advancement in the legislative space when it comes to autonomous cars on the public highway. After all, consider how long it's taken electric cars to get anywhere near a grasp on mainstream, and that's with very little governmental involvement worldwide. Yes, autonomous cars may be road legal in 4 years' time or shortly after, but don't expect them to be completely taking over anytime soon. And on that note, it's time for me to say goodbye for the week. As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss a single episode. And if you like the idea of watching this show with 0 ads and don't want to give any money to Google, then why not consider donating to this show's running costs by making a donation through Patreon. Donate more than $5 a month and you get early access to all new shows and you get to see them without ads. So follow the link below or at the end of this video to find out more. Next Friday, I'm actually going to be away, but I'm going to do my best to give you lots of Transport Evolved goodness as usual during the week. And with any luck, I'll have a slightly earlier than usual roundup show for you next time. Until then, thanks for joining me. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield. That was 10. Have a great weekend. And until next time, keep evolving.